Hey there, everyone! Today we're diving into the untold stories behind the notorious lives of pirates. Now, we've all seen the romanticized, adventurous versions of pirates in movies and books. But what was life really like for these legendary outlaws of the seas? From brutal battles to grim betrayals, we're uncovering the dark and gritty realities that Hollywood often leaves out. So, grab your compass and let's set sail into the shadows of pirate life. The dark side of pirate life. Untold stories. Pirate life has fascinated people for centuries. Movies like Pirates of the Caribbean and stories of Blackbeard and Captain Kidd have made pirates seem exciting and free. But the real pirate life was far from glamorous. It was filled with violence, poverty, and danger, often leading to early death. The late 1600s to early 1700s were known as the Golden Age of Piracy. Pirates roamed the seas, attacking ships and towns. These pirates were not the heroes of movies, but desperate people seeking wealth. Their lives were a constant fight for survival, filled with violence and the risk of death. Behind the myths of Jolly Roger flags and Treasure Island stories, pirate life was harsh. In this article, we explore the true stories of pirate life. We aim to reveal the dark truths that have been hidden by the myths of the high seas. Key takeaways. Pirate life was far from the glamorous and exciting depiction in popular media. The Golden Age of Piracy was a period marked by staggering violence, poverty, and constant danger. Legends of famous pirates like Blackbeard and Captain Kidd have overshadowed the harsh realities of life as a pirate. Movies like Pirates of the Caribbean romanticized pirate culture, while the true experiences of seafaring outlaws were grim and brutal. The article aims to shed light on the untold stories and dark realities of pirate life during this era. Pirates of the Caribbean, unveiling the grim reality. The Disney film, Pirates of the Caribbean, makes pirates seem fun and adventurous. But the real pirate life was much harsher. The Golden Age of Piracy was filled with violence, poverty, and little comfort. Hollywood's portrayal versus the harsh truth. The movies show pirates having exciting battles and finding treasure, but pirate ships were dirty and brutal. Pirates often fought each other with deadly weapons. Walking the plank was rare, but punishments like keel hauling were common. This shows how different pirate life was from what movies show. Staggering violence and poverty. The unvarnished life of a pirate. Pirates like Johnny Depp with an eye patch and peg leg were rare. Most pirates lived in poverty, with little more than a parrot and old clothes. Treasure hunts were mostly myths, as pirates spent their money on women and drink in places like Port Royal and Tortuga. Pirate life was dangerous, poor, and violent. It was far from the glamorous image we see in movies. The dark side of pirate life. Myths and legends debunked. The myths about pirates have grown bigger than the truth. While things like the Jolly Roger and pirates were real, many pirate stories are not. The endless fights, hidden treasures, and pirate codes are mostly made up. They hide the real hard, poor, and dangerous life of pirates. Pirate life was not as exciting as stories make it seem. Most pirates faced Korsan Yashaman and Karanlik Yuzu, the dark side of pirate life. This included poverty, violence, and a fight to survive. The stories of pirate wealth and treasures hide the truth that many lived and died in poverty. The life of a pirate was not one of adventure and romance, but rather a brutal struggle for survival in the face of constant danger and deprivation. By clearing up the myths and showing the realities of pirate life, we learn more about this complex history. The true stories of pirates' struggles and hardships offer a stark contrast to the romanticized tales we're used to. The Golden Age of Piracy, a bloody era. The late 17th and early 18th centuries were known as the Golden Age of Piracy. This time saw a rise in piracy along the American coast. Famous pirates like William Kidd, Charles Vane, and Sam Bellamy roamed the seas. But one pirate, Blackbeard or Edward Teach, was the most cruel. Infamous pirates, Blackbeard and the cruelest of them all. Blackbeard's terror was unmatched. He was known for his brutal methods, like cutting off women's fingers for their jewelry. His reputation was so bad that people were terrified of him. Virginia's governor, Alexander Spotswood, led the fight against Blackbeard in 1718. Spotswood gathered a team to take down the pirate. Their battle ended Blackbeard's life and marked the start of the end of the golden age of piracy. Blackbeard's cruelty and savagery knew no bounds, making him the most feared pirate of the era. His reign of terror along the American coast was a testament to the grim realities of the golden age of piracy. The golden age of piracy was a dark time filled with violence. It saw the rise of infamous pirates. Blackbeard's actions show the true horror of this era. Pirate codes and customs, truth or fiction. Pirate life was not just about swashbuckling adventures. It was ruled by strict codes and customs that changed from ship to ship. While movies often show pirates doing things like walking the plank, these acts were rare. Pirates followed strict rules for dividing loot and punishing bad behavior. Walking the plank. Separating fact from myth. The myth of walking the plank is a big one. It says pirates made people walk off ships to their deaths. But this was very rare. Pirates usually used keel hauling, a brutal method where victims were dragged under the ship. Pirates didn't just wear eye patches and peg legs for fun. These were practical because losing limbs or eyes was common. They helped pirates survive at sea. Pirate codes were not just fanciful tales, but an integral part of the pirate's way of life, governing everything from the division of spoils to the punishment of wrongdoers. So, the pirate code and pirate customs were real and important. They shaped the pirates' daily lives. The truth behind these myths is often more interesting than the myths themselves. The Jolly Roger and buried treasures. Realities unveiled. The Jolly Roger flag was a symbol of pirate defiance in the golden age of piracy. But the idea of buried treasures and treasure maps is mostly a myth. Pirates usually spent their loot quickly, enjoying women and alcohol in places like Port Royal and Tortuga. Pirate lives were filled with staggering violence and poverty. There were many jailbreaks and riots in support of pirates in the British Empire. A witness said there was planning to help a pirate, showing pirates' supporters were organized in Monmouth County. Pirates were important for the growth of port towns in colonial America, but they were not always welcomed. Governor Hamilton was even locked up for 4 days because of the trouble with pirates. Many pirates wanted a quiet life on land, not the swashbuckling one we imagine. They bought things like pigs and chickens, aiming for a stable life in the colonial communities. Pirates challenged oppressive social hierarchies, critiqued early modern capitalism, and supported global piracy. The idea of pirates as anarchists is only true for a short time, from 1716 to 1726. It overlooks the varied nature of piracy throughout history. Knowing the truth about the Jolly Roger and buried treasures helps us understand the pirate's life better. Pirate nests. Colonial America's dark secret. In colonial America, some port towns were known as pirate nests. Here, notorious buccaneers found refuge and support from local leaders. Unlike the lone pirates of legend, many were welcomed into communities. They married local women, bought land, and even became leaders. Harboring pirates. Local leaders' shocking support. William Harris, a Puritan settler in Rhode Island, was captured by Algerian pirates in 1680. This shows pirates were not always seen as outcasts. Local leaders looking for economic gains often ignored pirates' wrongdoings. This allowed them to flourish in places like Port Royal and Tortuga. The relationship between colonists and pirates was complex. It mixed law and lawlessness in colonial America. Authorities tried to stop piracy, but the promise of quick wealth and local officials' pragmatism kept it alive. This shaped the darker side of the colonial era. The pirates were not always the swashbuckling outcasts of popular legend, but rather integrated members of colonial society, supported by local leaders who saw economic opportunities in their activities. The story of these pirate nests still captivates historians and the public. It shows the complex and often contradictory nature of colonial America's past. Sea of Thieves, unraveling the mysteries of the Sea of the Damned. Sea of Thieves is a video game that takes you on a journey to the Sea of the Damned. Here, lost pirate souls relive their memories in a dreamlike state. This adds a magical twist to the harsh pirate life. The Cursed Captain, a cunning enigma. The Cursed Captain is at the center of this mystery. Their true nature and goals are unknown. Players must explore the Sea of the Damned to uncover the Cursed Captain's secrets. The Siren Kingdom, an otherworldly threat. The game also introduces the Siren Kingdom, home to the deadly sirens. These mythical creatures are a challenge for players. They must avoid the siren songs, which can lure sailors to their doom. The mix of pirate life and fantasy in Sea of Thieves makes for a thrilling experience. As players delve into the mysteries, they become part of a complex story. The line between legend and reality blurs, making the game even more captivating. The legacy of piracy shaping popular culture. Piracy has deeply influenced popular culture. Classics like Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson and the Pirates of the Caribbean movies are just the start. But real pirate stories like A General History of the Robberies and Murders of the Most Notorious Pirates by Captain Charles Johnson also play a big role. They show us what life as a pirate was really like. From fiction to fact, piracy's enduring fascination fiction and fact mix in our view of piracy. The exciting stories in movies and books often hide the harsh truth. Pirates faced violence, poverty, and the risk of capture or death. Yet, the dream of finding Treasure Island and the thrill of pirate adventures still captivate us. This interest has sparked a new look into the real stories of piracy and its people. The sea, the swell of it, the silent ship, and in the night the gleam of phosphorus around the bow. It's all so still and beautiful. I could run barefoot all day in the sand. Robert Louis Stevenson. The mix of fiction and fact keeps piracy's legacy alive in popular culture. It shapes our view of this fascinating and complex part of history. Conclusion. The stories of pirate life have always fascinated us, but the real pirate world was much darker than we imagine. The golden age of piracy was filled with violence, poverty, and danger. While pirates used symbols like the Jolly Roger and parrots, their lives were far from exciting. They faced harsh realities that we don't see in movies or books. By looking beyond myths, we understand the true pirate life. It was marked by violence and hard living, not the freedom we often think of. This shows us why it's important to see history clearly. Exploring pirate history helps us see the real people behind the legends. It shows us the human side of their lives. This makes their stories even more interesting and complex. How does the reality of pirate life differ from its depiction in popular culture? Pirate life was not as glamorous as movies like Pirates of the Caribbean show. It was filled with violence, poverty, and danger. There was no swashbuckling adventure. What were some of the harsh realities of pirate life during the golden age of piracy? Pirate ships were uncomfortable and fights were brutal. Men used axes and cutlasses. Punishments like keel hauling were common. Walking the plank was mostly a myth. Who was the most notorious and cruel pirate during the golden age of piracy? Blackbeard, also known as Edward Teach, was the most brutal pirate. He was known for hacking off the fingers of women who wouldn't give up their jewelry. Did pirates actually follow any codes or customs? Or were they just lawless outlaws? Pirates did have their own rules, which varied by ship. These rules covered how to share loot and punish bad behavior. But things like walking the plank were just made up for movies. Was the iconic Jolly Roger flag a real symbol of piracy? And did pirates truly bury their treasure? The Jolly Roger flag was real and used by pirates. But the idea of buried treasures and treasure maps was a myth. Pirates usually spent their loot as soon as they could. How were pirates perceived and integrated into colonial American communities? Pirates were not seen as outcasts. Many were welcomed into colonial communities. They married local women, bought land, and even became leaders. How does the video game Sea of Thieves explore the supernatural elements of pirate life? Sea of Thieves introduces the supernatural side of pirate life. It features the Sea of the Damned, where lost souls relive their memories in a dreamlike state. Does the threat of modern-day piracy still exist, and how does it compare to the piracy of the past? Yes, piracy still exists today, especially in areas like the South China Sea and off Africa. Somali pirates use tactics similar to historical pirates. This shows that pirate life is still dangerous and brutal. All right, folks, that's a wrap on the darker side of pirate life. Who would have thought that the high seas held such hidden horrors, right? If you enjoyed peeling back the layers of pirate legends and want more untold tales from history, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives. Drop a comment below on what surprised you the most. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Until next time, keep exploring and stay curious.